So here, the first verb that we encounter is paraklao. So paraklao meant to urge, to convince. So here Paul is saying that he is trying to convince his readers, his targeted readers, which in this case are the Christians in Rome. So he is urging them, trying to convince them. The subject of this verse is actually I, ego. As you can see here, this is not actually exactly written out in the verse because it's assumed, because the paraklao bears the assumed speaker, which is I, which is in this case Paul. So ego paraklao, and you can see here the basic diagram for a subject and a verb relationship, which is a straight line, and then the vertical line that separates them. So this is ego paraklao. So I urge. So what is the direct object? Who receives the urging? So we can see here it is represented by a slant line near just right of paraklao, which in this case adelphoi. Adelphoi is the word for brother. So I urge brothers. Paul is urging the brothers. Who are the brothers? The brothers in Rome, the Christians in Rome. And here it's further modified. So every time a word or a direct object or a verb, a subject is being modified, is being modified by a slant line and being placed below the word that it is modifying. So that's how Greek diagramming works. And the pronoun here is omas. Therefore, Paul is identifying here grammatically that these brothers that he is talking to are his brothers in Rome. Okay, the sentence here is actually connected with its previous paragraph by an Greek word un. So un is a conjunction which can either function as therefore or but, probably. So it depends on how each verses or each sentences will actually be connected or placed or logically shown. But later on my third post, I'll be showing a way for it to be shown. But for the interest of just the diagramming here, I'm just saying that un is the conjunction involved, which meant therefore. So moving forward, the next Greek word that actually encountered after this is dia. Dia is a preposition modifying paraklao. So urging with what? Urging by what? Urging why? Or urging how? So dia explains that it is Paul urging them through something, by something, by what? So he placed here two nouns side by side, theon oktermon and theou, to theou. So both of them having articles, meaning both of them are actually, can be said that one is modifying the other. So it's usually translated by the mercies of God. Oktermon is mercies, theou is God. So here it's Paul is saying that he is urging them through the mercies of God. Paraklao dia ten oktermon to theou. So this is something that probably was established in the preceding verses. So it's clear here that Paul is coming from something, and this is through the mercies of God. Dia ten iktermen to theou. So this is already a clause, as something, a proposition that has actually some thought in it. There's a verb here, but you will see that after this, there's another verb that will come up. It's actually an infinitive verb, and it is parastesai. Parastesai is an infinitive labeled by the two lines here. So as you can see, two vertical lines means in the infinitive, and it goes under paraklaw with a straight line, not a slant line, because it's not modifying paraklaw in that manner, but actually continuing the thought of paraklaw. So in here, it is clear that paraklaw, the urging, the content of the urging is really the parastesai. He is urging them what? So the main idea here is not really the mercies of God, which is something that he just previously already established, but really in view of that mercy, he is trying to urge them to parastesai, which meant to present, to offer, to give. Because God is so merciful, he is urging them to present. To present what? So the direct object is tasomata. So there, Paul is trying to say to them, present your bodies, and probably have in mind the presentation of sacrifices in the temple. But in this case, Paul is saying something different to his brothers. He's saying to them to present their bodies, something new, something radical, something that is actually old but then somehow new. And this body are their bodies. The pronoun here is umon. So he's saying, offer your bodies. Offer your bodies. Why? Well, the bodies here is actually the direct object already. So you will see that there will be a series of succession or parallelism or opposition or further explanation of this body, this offering of the body. And it will be equated to what Paul will say after this. It would be equated to Theousayan. This is sacrifice, actually. To present your bodies as a sacrifice. To present your bodies, sacrifice. So, to present the body is actually further explained to us as a sacrifice in the temple. But not just any sacrifice, because Paul further modified that word, Greek word theousian, as sosan. Sosan is a it is a participle verbal noun. It's a noun, it's a verb really, but functions here as a noun. Further qualifying the sacrifice, which is, he is saying that it is a living sacrifice. He's giving a description of this presentation of the body as a living sacrifice, described here by a straight line under the word to sian. So son is actually saying it is a living sacrifice. And then Paul will further explain that by saying this is a sacrifice, okay, to present the body as a sacrifice that is living, and it is God tuteu agion, a holy euareston, acceptable, a holy and acceptable offering, sacrifice, body to God. So that's what Paul is saying here. It is tuteu agion euareston. It is God acceptable. It is holy acceptable. It is God wholly acceptable. So it is something that is God would accept, because God is so merciful. It will always go back to that, because God is so merciful. Because of, in view of that mercy here, and Paul would further qualify that as well. So there are actually three qualifiers for clarifications here. That Paul is saying that this is ten laterian, a service, a worship. This is a worship because it's an offering. A presentation of the body is an offering that is living, and it is your worship, your umon, and this is your logican worship. It is a reasonable one. It is something that is actually due God because He is so merciful. And this is it, and I'll explain part 3, how it will be translated in English and in Tagalog.